all your trustees.
Well, you guys,
No, he points,
7 of them.
seven of the board
Four of
members.
them are John Purdue.
right,
Uh,
or public official, once
Right.
elected office.
So it looks
That's
like it's
not-
public
it
servants,
has the
right.
appearance
They're
of a
not officials.
quasi-government agency.
Yeah.
Right, right. That's exactly right.
Another bubble, you know, a
Is
taxpayer
this,
bubble.
does
Just
this fall under the same category, for instance, as, say, a sewer authority or
Has similar,
a development authority, like a solid waste authority, a quasi-government?
has
Or
similar
a
lanes.
development
yes.
authority?
Similar lanes, yes, sir.
Along those lines, so it falls into that category. Does anybody take oaths of office with it?
No.
So they're not represented by risk management
No.
board or anything like that?
So y'all's guys are just set up fat and you can just do whatever you want to
Well,
do.
it's not that. The
Well,
thing is that you have-
I haven't understood
Yeah.
the Giannini. That seemed to me to be the thing to focus
The
on.
mystery is.
How did he get
That's the mystery I was
access
getting
to
at.
buy this?
He's a
What was
little
the
place
mechanism?
working out of a 2-bedroom house in
Does, okay,
Smithers.
in the explanation you gave, and I don't doubt you one
Sure.
second, I'm not here to be an advocate against you, we were just trying to figure out how it worked, and you really helped us in that respect. But the mystery behind it, you know, fly in the ointment type thing, is how does it go from okay, it's advertised for sale as a foreclosure or whatever, you know, it's advertised for public auction. You go to the public auction, if you make a bid and it's not high enough, even if it was, you know, a couple $1,000s, somebody bid $30,000 instead of $32,000.
Right.
All right? I mean, the difference between $34,000 and $4,000, a $30,000 difference, because after it's reviewed, it's condemned,
Right.
sort of doesn't make sense. You would think that the property would be looked at before
Well,
a
excuse me a
public
minute.
auction. But wait a minute, let me finish. So that's one factor, this question mark.
Sure.
The second question mark is after the trustee takes it back, which is understandable, that's the way the deeds of trust work. You're 1 day late, they can foreclose on you, that type of thing. And they do it without judicial review, which is really what makes it almost criminal, archaic, because all other states have judicial review before they can foreclose.
Understand.
All right. So that's the second feature, but the third feature is the housing authority gets it back,
Right.
or your group gets it back. And then it crosses over into a fog as to how somebody finds out about it.
Well,
You know, wait, let me finish one more second and I'll shut up. This looks like that a developer or a construction company or
Giannini Construction.
or a deconstruction company, somebody who knocks things down,
right.
can buy up all these properties all day long because he's the only one around that tears things down.
Or he knows somebody in the Housing Development Fund.
We try, and yeah.
So
your
the question,
your
the last question is, what if we did a freedom of information request to find out, or public records, as to how many properties Giovanni, just using this guy as an example.
If you can, and that's why I was leading, you poise your questions in the scope of that, and you say, you know, how many contracts or how many houses have you done with this entity?
Yeah.
If
I know
can-
it's not public record to us, but.
If I can, you know, I'll have to avoid any kind of financial information,
Right.
but I can tell you the number, and I probably can tell you the pieces of property.
Really?
Along those lines here, I just can't tell you how much,
Right.
and you can go to.
But how much he
public
made
record.
on them is immaterial.
Yeah.
The question is, how does he get them? Well, he gets them because
Sure.
we call him up and contact him that this place should be
And
torn down.
that kind of,
And he makes a bid and says, instead of turning it down, I'll pay you X numbers of dollars.
you know, if you ask me, what other contracts have you done with Gina?
Who condemned the property?
Well, that's a decision that's made by, we have what we call a real estate owned division, and we have staff there, qualified staff, who go out and once we foreclose, we get the property back to the trustee, and we in the legal department turn it over to our real
You
estate
used to
owned.
be able to get a correspondence course degree as a real estate appraiser, right?
And so we send that department, then they go out, and their staff qualified to go out and look at pieces of property,
obviously not,
and
though.
make that determination
Well,
on whether it's worth it or
It
not.
doesn't matter. I mean, the format is that somebody notified, or somehow Giovanni found out about it. How many others he's found out about it in the past is something that's a matter of.
Yeah, I don't know how many
But-
how many they've dealt with this guy, or how they found him.
It just so happens this place was across the street from you and you knew it.
Right.
Other places you wouldn't
Well,
know
and I
about.
would be here, but he lied to me. See, he said he was cleaning it up, and his brother, who's barely smart enough to drive a truck, let it slip out that he had stole the place for $4,000.
Okay.
And he lied right to my face.
And when he looked at the records, as you can see,
Sure.
it looks like the housing authority owns something and then pays for it again.
And cut this deal.
Yeah, and then, you know, and
Yeah.
who knows where the money went, because this guy's paying $4,000 additional.
And then kicks it back, half of it to whoever paid, turned him on to it.
I mean, that's what it
here.
looks like on the surface.
Well,
That's analyzing this
And
one.
and we both know that if that
This
is,
is a
if
tip of
that
the
were the
iceberg,
case,
I figure, as
if
far
that were the
as-
case and it was public money,
Mhm.
then that could be used for a Keaton action or any other kind of
Well, there's,
investigation.
if you analyze that list and you.
But how
want-
does an investor make money with this? Because of the initial one-time investment of taking the tax write-off.
Yeah, you're talking about
Bailouts,
the initial
trillion-dollar
investor brought the
bailout.
That's a
bonds.
tax shelter.
Sure, but
Basically, it's a
you're
tax
talking about millions of dollars, and so you have investors buying
Sure.
$1 million of bonds or
Right.
$800,000. It's a
You should be-
decent.
you know, when we were growing up, because we lived in the Eisenhower years, when we were growing up, you could invest in public utilities and be tax exempt
Sure.
in, you know, for water companies and
And,
sewer
and
companies.
it's a safe investment.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we getting on our passbook savings right now? Less than 1%. Our
Try
la-
getting a CD at 1.5.
Okay, so our
Do you
last,
have a public list of the properties that are available at that Giannini
Yeah, it's
stage?
a giveaway.
Oh. the purchase.
what I would tell you then,
How's he finding out?
I would turn you over to our same department, REO department, and you can contact them, and they will provide you a list of all the properties they
Okay,
have
there's some,
available.
in construction, there's something called the Dodge reports. They
Yeah,
come-
that's what I'm talking
They
about, it's a
come
Dodge
up
type
every
report.
month. They used to be called the Dodge reports, it could be called somebody else now because it's been years. But they would list all the projects that either state or federal governments were gonna build, new schools, new
Okay.
post offices or something like that. And then the construction companies could line up and make their bids and find
Sure.
out what the specs were and make their, you know, proposals.
So does that exist?
No, and here's how, remember as we said earlier about the different lenders,
About the what?
different funding sources. For instance, we deed the properties back to the Veterans Administration, FHA buys their properties
So the
back.
VA could have told somebody who.
Well,
knows.
they have their own list of properties,
I see.
FHA has their list of properties, we have our list of properties, and how a consumer would find out, you'd have to contact each of those entities and find out where they're keeping their list of properties, and they would provide it to you.
Peel on an onion.
And then we sit down and then you
In the
go out.
dark.
But we do list with realtors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
they're
right.
our houses, if they come back and they're okay, we list them
How
with
did
realtors.
GME, who?
Yeah, but they only
Told
list them
him
with real.
he's
My,
gonna
my,
get a tax
my-
roll.
CEO, right?
my guess is, and I just don't know this, is
Certificate of
that they've been
occupancy.
working with him, they've worked with him before. I would love to
They
believe he,
should call in and say,
No, I
I
don't.
would love to believe he tears houses down. Is that not true?
In order to list with a realtor,
He hauled some trash off down there is all I saw.
Yeah, well,
And then he made $20,000 overnight.
in order to list with a realtor, the house has to pass what,
Has to pass
what they call a certificate of occupancy in some areas. I don't think there's any
And
zoning here, but
some degree
basically,
of housing quality standard.
yeah, but so it has to meet a minimum.
So this is
standard.
certified not,
But if it doesn't
habitable.
meet that, okay, that's a good point. If it meets a livable standard,
Mm-hmm.
all right, then it can go to a realtor, they can put it on, and, you know, go through the commission thing, the
Right.
whole bit. But for those properties that don't meet it, like this one, that somebody determined didn't meet it, where does that list go?
Well, even those properties don't meet it, we're gonna try to sell them as is. We gotta move the properties. So even those properties we list for realtors, are the ones that are,
Oh.
and we would have listed this one, except the early determination from the team that came back was that it wasn't worth fixing and we would have had to list it because we don't sell ourselves.
So it's bulldozer, get rid of it and
And
sell
the
a
plan
vacant
was,
lot.
yeah, the plan was to bulldoze it and sell the lot. And then this G&A said, well, if you're gonna do that, you know, I'll pay you whatever the number was
Okay.
for the property.
But the-
And then
Now,
we-
is he under a contract, a working contract? You know, you
My
might not
guess
know this,
is,
but-
my guess he's probably not under a working contract. My
What
guess is